Welcome to Philosophy with Xing, where we uncover the beauty behind philosophy. In today's episode, we'll be examining the quote, "Knowledge is valuable when it's certain," and we have to critically assess this view. Alright, when we are looking at a quotation, as usual, let's break it down into a few key terms and define these key terms before we go on to planning our line of argument. First one, what is the definition of knowledge? So if we were to take the traditional, conventional, Plato's tripartite definition of knowledge, justified true belief will have defined knowledge. Next, our quotation, second key word will be valuable. How do you define valuable? In this discussion today, we'll define valuable as useful. Why is it so? When I say that, knowledge of Newton's laws of gravity is valuable, I'm saying that it's useful. Why? Because I can explain why my bottle does not float in the air, why my bottle does not come crashing down through the table, and why it stays still right on the table as it is. These phenomena can be explained by Newton's laws of gravity. So knowledge is valuable because it is useful. And people are saying in this quote that knowledge is valuable when it is certain. Now, once again, what is the definition of certainty? When you define certainty, we can say, is it absolute certainty or not? Ask ourselves this. We cannot really attain absolute certainty because this is a too extreme a claim, and you can check my previous videos to find out why we cannot have absolute certainty. But for today's discussion, we'll take certainty as certain beyond reasonable doubt. Meaning that you are relatively certain and there is a high percentage of certainty. So it's not 100% certain, but it's certain beyond reasonable doubt. Meaning that if you don't be radically skeptical about a certain knowledge claim, you can claim to have somewhat certainty about this knowledge claim. Now, second definition of certain, beyond reasonable doubt, we also have another definition for certainty, which is about objective, external, independent reality. To correspond to for truth, value. What does this mean? A knowledge claim is certain when there's an objective, external, independent reality that we can correspond to in order to verify the truth of the knowledge claim. So, certainty can be defined in two ways. One is justification. Second is in truth. And you realize justification and truth, they are the two more widely discussed criteria for knowledge in our Plato's tripartite definition of knowledge. Having broken down these terms, we'll now go on to outline our line of argument. First, knowledge is valuable when it is certain. Is it true or not? When is it true? When is it not true? So our first argument is to acknowledge the claim and say that yes, there is some sense to the claim. There are some instances where this idea that knowledge is valuable when it's certain does ring true. Example in the sciences. The uniformity of nature confers certainty to the knowledge produced, and it's useful in inductive reasoning. So scientific knowledge is valuable because it is certain. That's what I mean. Next, in math. Certain knowledge in math is justified through foundationalist justification. It's useful in deductive reasoning, and math's utility is complementary in the sciences, meaning math and science complement each other. And scientific knowledge is valuable in inductive reasoning because you're able to predict the future. As what I discussed in my previous video on the philosophy of science, science is useful in inductive reasoning in that it can predict the future and it can build on pre-existing scientific claims to widen our wealth of scientific knowledge. As for mathematics, it is valuable because of the certainty in foundationalist justification, and you use deductive reasoning from your fundamental axioms in, for example, Euclid's Elements to build up your wealth of mathematical knowledge. If 1 plus 1 equals to 2, then 2 equals 1 plus 1, and you can continue to build upon these fundamental axioms in order to achieve more knowledge, which is useful to our society. Second line of argument, on top of knowledge being valuable when it's certain, sometimes knowledge that's not certain can also be valuable. So when examining the quotation, it's really important for you to think about the various permutations of the quotation. You can think knowledge is valuable when it's certain, knowledge is not valuable when it's certain, knowledge is valuable when it is not certain, and knowledge is not valuable when it is not certain. So there are 4 different permutations that you can mix and match in the quotation. And you can use these permutations to further buttress your argument in your various lines of reasoning to show whether or not this view stands. Because the question that's tagged to this quotation is critically assess the view. Alright. Next, so let's write down our topic sentence. However, knowledge that is not certain can also be valuable. For example, what kind of knowledge is not certain? In history, historical knowledge exists in narratives as postulated and proposed by Hayden White, and they are also interpretivist as proposed by Collingwood. Hence, there's no correspondence and no certainty. However, we can still attain useful knowledge about human behavior, power structures, the past, and people's interpretations of the past. So knowledge that is not certain could also be useful. Alright, and next, in the social sciences. Interpretivist social sciences like anthropology contain conjectures of the social scientists which may not be certain but still give useful knowledge about societal structures and the forces that shape society. So although the knowledge is not certain, but social scientific knowledge, specifically interpretivist social science, enables us to understand and explain social and human behavior in order to understand society better. Next, in our last line of reasoning, the question implies that knowledge is valuable when it's certain. However, certain knowledge may not be valuable at times. So you see the way I play with the permutations in order to discuss the various facets of the view. So for the third argument, I'm using the third permutation where some types of knowledge that is certain beyond reasonable doubt actually are not very valuable. For example, what? Oppositional knowledge, like syllogisms, tautologies. By simply saying all unmarried men are bachelors, this is not useful in our knowledge because this statement is true by definition. Therefore, we don't really find any use in making these statements in our daily lives. So that is not really very valuable. So although, yes, it is certain beyond reasonable doubt that all bachelors are unmarried men, but they are not useful and they are not valuable in our pursuit of and our quest for more knowledge. Alright, and the second one, the kind of certain knowledge that might not be valuable. Some knowledge in art that are propositional, which only state concepts of colors, brush strokes, scene painting. For example, saying that, Michelangelo used marble to carve his sculptures. That's not really very valuable in our understanding of art because the nature of art is an analysis of what the artwork represents, what's the statement that the artist is trying to make, and not stating propositional facts about the art piece itself. Because, it doesn't really give us much useful knowledge about the symbolism of the artwork, the significance of the artwork. So although the knowledge is certain, but it's not really valuable. So that's another example. Zooming out here to see the big picture once again, you realize that knowledge can be valuable when it's certain, knowledge that's not certain can also be valuable, and knowledge that is certain may not be valuable at times. Definitely knowledge that is not certain sometimes are also not valuable. So you can think of how you might work out the fourth argument by yourself. So this is the end of today's video. Hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you and see you at our next episode. Goodbye.